A very good morning to you watching Western Television, wherever you're catching the show live from. It's 2 minutes past over 8 a.m. You're most welcome. Today is Wednesday, 19th of April 2023. We do apologize for starting it at this particular time because of some technical glitches here and there. And they have really worked on that, and that's why we are coming to you live, both online and also on your TV set right here at Western Television studio in Arua City, plot 39A, Weatherhead Park Lane. That is where we are located. And for those who want to know where exactly we are located, we are just right here. Those who are catching us live from Western Sub-Region, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Those in Asholi Sub-Region, could open in Martin. Those in Alur Sub-Region, I prefer calling it a Sub-Region because we have the district of Nebi, we have the district of Bakwash, Zombo, and Nebi municipality. And so the Alur-speaking belt would really prefer calling them the Sub-Region right there. Thank you very much for joining us. Those in Bulisa, Hoima, Masindi, Kiradongo, thank you. We do appreciate you very much. And those who are catching us live from other parts of this country, we thank you and we do appreciate you for joining us this morning. You're most welcome, where we give you updates of each and every information that you need to know right here on Western Television. And I'm here to give you the information so that you get to understand what is happening in your area, in your country, and what is happening in your neighboring country. Let us start it straight away with Uganda Human Rights Commission Tribunal dismissing 10 cases of human rights abuse, filed against Uganda police in West Nile. And so the chairperson Uganda Human Rights Commission, High Justice Miriam, that is Fauzat Wangadia, together with the 3 other commissioners sitting, at Uganda Human Rights Commission. We had the opportunity to interface with that is the Commissioner Crispin Kaheru, Commissioner Omara Lamex, and Commissioner Simeo, that is Mwanga Nsubuga, who were for the tribunal hearing right here in Arua for 2 days. That started on Monday and ended yesterday. And I have to tell you that out of the 16 cases that were had, 10 cases were dismissed. Meanwhile, 6 cases have been deferred for further hearing and judgment to come in a later day. You have to know that the last time that the tribunal sat was in 2019, and also 2022. I can remember vividly. And so 10 cases have been dismissed on on ground that the complainants are former convicts who served their sentences at different prisons that we have in our country, Uganda. And so according to the Uganda Human Rights Commission chairperson, Fauzat, she says that those that sued the police, and the police was represented by the Attorney General, there were people who were convicted. And so there's no need for Uganda Human Rights to give ground for hardcore criminals to be challenging the police of this country. And so the 10 cases that have been dismissed, these were cases registered against police for illegal detention beyond 48 hours. And so the persons who were former convicts, they had to, register their cases with the Uganda Human Rights Commission, accusing Uganda police for detaining them beyond 48 hours. And so, after finding out that these convicts were criminals and they were charged and tried in the court of this country, so the Uganda Human Rights Commission chairperson Fauzat says they cannot continue to reward those that have really been able to serve their sentences in our country, Uganda. And so out of the 16 cases, 10 have been dismissed and 6 cases have been deferred for further hearing and judgment. And the commission chairperson Fauzat Miriam says that the 10 cases have been dismissed on grounds that the complainants are hardcore criminals who served their sentences in prison. So let's have more on that particular story playing on your screen as you listen to her submission on some of the issues that you need to know with Uganda Human Rights Commission. Good morning.
A total of 16 cases have been handled by Uganda Human Rights Commission Tribunal that sat in Arua City, chaired by the Uganda Human Rights Commission chairperson Mariam Fauzat Wangadia, with a panel of 3 other commissioners, Crispin Kaheru, Commissioner Omara Lamex and Commissioner Simeo Mwanga Subuga. Out of the 16 cases had, 10 have been dismissed and 6 cases have been deferred for further hearing and judgment. Commission Chairperson Fauzat Miriam says the 10 cases have been dismissed on ground that the complainants are hardcore criminals who served their sentences in prison.
Observed today, the nature of the complainants themselves is quite troubling. The complainants who have appeared before us today, claiming violation of their right to personal liberty, are hardcore criminals, I'm sorry to say. Some of them are convicted defilers. Another one is a rapist. So, as you've been following, I have been dismissing them. It's my argument that the provisions of Article 23, Clause 4B of the Constitution were intended to protect innocent citizens from arbitrary arrests and wrongful detentions. They were not meant to sanitize defilers and rapists and turn them into victims of alleged human rights violations at the expense of the actual victims of their crimes.
Mob justice defilements were some of the cases that dominated the tribunal. Fauzat says that the people should desist from mob justice, saying it is rather mob injustice and should not be tolerated in the community.
I want to say, as a commission, we condemn so-called mob justice. Mob justice is not justice. It is mob injustice in that people are attacked and beaten and lynched, and sometimes they could be innocent. Even if they were not innocent, lynching is actually deeming somebody, assuming somebody is guilty. You immediately carry out the sentence, a sentence for death. We condemn that.
Majority of the complainants who reported their cases had sued police on ground of unlawful detention, which Fauzat argues that it has not been because of the detention that they were kept beyond 48 hours. Some of the complainants would have been lynched by mob, and she advises members of the public to always understand why police detain people beyond 48 hours and that it does not make sense to sue someone who saved your life.
The frustration is these same people who have been rescued by police turn around and sue the police for wrongful detention. I've had a case here today of somebody who was attacked and beaten badly for stealing cattle. The police detained him for 12 days. Mark Yu, he was arrested and handed over to police by the L1 chairman. And he himself said today that had he not to be detained for his own safety, had he to be released earlier, he would have been lynched. So that is what frustrates us sometimes. Why turn around and sue somebody who has rescued you?
Some of the cases handled in the 2 days tribunal hearing in Arua have stayed for over 10 years without being resolved, in which the Uganda Human Rights Chairperson says it is due to some of the challenges the Commission faces, ranging from finance to support the Commission and lack of quorum to handle the matters.
Some of the cases we are here today date back as early as 2012, more than 10 years back. But there are many reasons why these cases delay. One has to do with resources. We rely heavily on hearing these cases, on money given to us by the Justice, Law and Order Sector Secretariat. And when that money is not available, we cannot hold the tribunal sessions. But also we've had changes at the Commission. At one time, the chairperson of the Commission died. I think that was in 2019. So technically speaking, there was no commission because the law defines the commission as a chairperson and at least 3 members of the commission. And I was appointed to replace that deceased chairman in September 2021. So for a period of more than 2 years, there was no commission. And then some of the reasons have to do with maybe disappearance, or like today, some of the complainants are missing. They are not here. We learned that they are in South Sudan. So we came here with the Commissioner Omara Peter to hear their cases, but they are not here. They are in South Sudan. So that means we adjourned them.
Reporting for Western Television, Nilecast, I am Denis Oringi.
All right, we'll be back. You're still watching Western Television, 13 minutes past the hour of 8 a.m. right here on Western Television. We have been able to hear from the Uganda Human Rights Commission chairperson, Her Justice Miriam Fawzat, right there, Wangadia, on the issues to do with tribunal and also the cases that people are registering of human rights abuses right there. So the 10 cases have been dismissed, and this is something that you need to know right there. So let's get to more stories that we have prepared for you this morning. And this is good news for the people of Obongi district. You have to know that Obongi will be able to get both ambulance like other districts that are really in the highland of this country and also surrounding the water bodies that we do have right here. And Obongi district is not exceptional with other districts as well. So Obongi district will also be able to benefit from the boat ambulance, and this is according to the revelation that has been disclosed by, that is the Dr. Dominic Lomureshu, that is the acting Obongi district health officer. He says that the waterboat ambulance is timely because it will quicken responses to emergencies. The Ministry of Health has procured a waterboat ambulance for Obongi district to improve emergency medical responses in the area, and this is a very good news for the people of Obongi. And this boat ambulance will be able to respond to some of the emergency medical issues that the district has been battling with. And so Marian Nakulobo, an official with the Emergency Medical Services at the Ministry of Health, said the water boat ambulance is a part of the overall plan by the Ministry of Health to establish a well-coordinated emergency medical services system in the country. She added that, quoting her verbatim, saying that we have managed to secure 14 waterboat ambulances, and Obongi is one of the districts that are targeted in phase 1 of this plan. So the ambulance will be dedicated to moving supplies to island districts and the national medical stores. And so this is good news for the people of Obongi and for the people of West Nile, that finally the district has gotten both ambulance that will be used for transporting the sick persons from Obongi district to the other side of Germany. And so Nakulubo said the ambulances were among the items in the strategic plan the Health Ministry launched in November 2021. The plan outlines interventions to be undertaken in the health sector, further saying that we are also sending one water boat to Serore, Kumi, and they have already deployed one in Kalangala. And it is not just about a sub-region, but about where there is a great need for water boat ambulance services right there. So Dr. Dominic, who is the acting district health officer for Obongi district, says that this boat has come timely and it will be able to quicken responses to emergencies in the district right there. He also says that the ambulance will operate at all times, including at night, since Ajumani Moyo Ferry halts operations at exactly 7 p.m. And so the ferry will, the boat ambulance will be able also to operate in the night. And this is according to the acting district health officer for Obongi. And this is a very good one for the people of Obongi. It's a good news, and that those that will be required to be referred to Ajumani Hospital, they will be using the boat ambulance right there. So that is one of the good news news for the people of West Nile, more especially for those who are in Obongi and Moyo as well. And we do appreciate government of the Republic of Uganda for thinking about the people of Obongi and the people of Madi sub-region, and for thinking about the people of West Nile. We do not take this for granted, and we always give a credit where it is due. Right there. Let's get to more stories in regards to health matters in our country, in this world, and that you have to know that the World Health Organization has warned that the COVID pandemic still volatile in our community, in our country. And so you need to know that the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a PHEIC on January 30th, 2020, when there were fewer than 100 cases and no deaths outside China. And so, but it was not until World Health Organization achieved Adamon Ghebreyesus that is described the situation as a pandemic in March 2020 that the world jolted into action. And so the World Health Organization on Tuesday warned that the COVID pandemic was still volatile, saying there could be further trouble before the virus settles into a predictable pattern right there. So in the last 28 days, more than 23,000 deaths and 3 million new cases have been reported to the World Health Organization. That is in the context of much reduced testing. And so while the numbers are decreasing, that is still a lot of people dying, and that is still a lot of people getting sick. World Health Organization Emergencies Director Michael Ryan told the press in a press conference organized right there. So he said respiratory viruses do not pass from a pandemic to an endemic phase, but instead move to low levels of activity with the potentially seasonal epidemic speaks right there. And so we should not celebrate that you know, everything is okay, but we should be able to know that we have to take the precautions that Ministry of Health and World Health Organization have been able to tell us to follow, because the issue of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is still volatile so in our country. So we cannot just say, yes, we are done with COVID-19, so we can now behave the way we want. And I love the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He continues to put on his mask and encourages people to always put on their mask, because he believes that this pandemic is not yet over. And that's why World Health Organization is also telling us that COVID-19 is still volatile, and so we have to continue taking the precaution measures that we are supposed to take. All right. Let us get to more stories this morning, and this is about the issues to do with the iron sheet. And I have to tell you that Agnes Nandutu, the State Minister for Karamoja Affair, yesterday handed herself to the police, and later on he was arrested and put in the cooler, and she was able to spend the night in the cooler, and she awaits to be to appear before the court of this country. And so Agnes Nandutu, troubled minister who miraculously became a member of parliament in this country. And if you do not know Agnes Nandutu, then you have just come back to Uganda, or maybe you have just woken up from your sleep. And you have to know that Agnes Nandutu, ending Tuesday yesterday, was due to become the third minister to face criminal proceedings in line with the infamous Karamoja iron sheets scandal. Agnes Nandutu was held on April 18th after she surrendered to police a day after eluding state investigators. And so she eluded the state investigators, and so she could not really go to make statement. So yesterday she drove to Shibuli police station to record her statement, and later on she was detained and throughout the night. And so I think she was able to spend the night in the cooler waiting to be produced in court today. today, and we shall be able to hear the charges that will be slapped on her. And top on the agenda, you have to know that it is the Karamoja Iron Sheets saga right there. So Agnes Nandutu, a proud mother of 7, beamed from a split and humble family in the rivers and ridges of Bududa district. And so she hails from Bududa district to not only become the area representatives, but a representative for the minister that is, in Parliament. So you have to know that she was appointed the Minister for Karamoja Affair by the President of the Republic of Uganda after sailing through as a woman member of Parliament for Bududa district right there in the eastern part of this particular country. And so Agnes Nandutu previously was able to work with the different media houses, before joining, that is the NTV, that she became famous through a program that she was really broadcasting, and that was the People's Parliament, the famous program where she would really dissect a number of issues affecting the community, affecting the Ugandans. And so she became famous through that program, and also the comic segment in the 9 p.m. That is news hour on one of the media houses that we have in our country, Uganda, NTV, and that is the Friday Dose of Laughter, Point Blank. And these are some of the programs that made her who she is now. Unfortunately, she has entangled herself in the Karamoja Iron Sheet scandal. Being the State Minister for Karamoja Affairs, she is expected to play the political oversight role in ensuring that the relief items meant for Karamoja are delivered to the Karamojong, the Karashunas, who are said to be the youth who are involved in cattle rustling. And so, unfortunately, the Iron Sheets are said to have not reached those that have been earmarked to benefit from the Iron Sheets. So some few ministers and some government officials divided the Iron Sheets among themselves. And so she becomes the 3rd minister in Museveni's government to answer charges of misappropriation and abuse of office right there. And so more charges might be slapped or might be dropped. So we are waiting to hear what the court will decide today, as she will be produced in court. And I have to tell you, the DPP, that is the Director of Public Prosecution, has arraigned more files, and according to her, she says that over 40 files are still being worked upon, and those that will be found, members who benefited from Karamoja Iron Sheet will also be arrested and produced before a court of this country to answer some of the charges that they will be slapped with. And that's something that I need to bring to your attention in regards to that. And so Agnes Nandutu will be produced in court today, and so we shall be able to follow the event that will be unfolding right there in Kampala, and we shall also be able to bring to your attention in our subsequent news bulletin that comes to your way every Monday through Monday at exactly 7 p.m. with Christine Okumuringa as she broadcasts for you the Nilecast news hour right there. And so let's get to more stories this morning, that a student has been arrested over stabbing a colleague to death. And so this is something that you need to do, that the Superintendent of Police, that is Patrick Jimmy Okema, who is the North Hyoga Regional Police spokesperson, said after disturbing the deceased, the suspect fled to his home district in Kapchorwa. And so a 20-year-old student of Uganda Christian Institute in Lira City, who has been on the run after that is allegedly stabbing his colleague to death, has been arrested in Kapchorwa district. So this is something that you need to know, that the gentleman who stabbed his colleague to death has been arrested. And so this is also a good one, because you cannot just stab a person and you disappear and you think that you cannot be arrested in a country, Uganda. Uganda is a very small country with the issue to do with the ID, the national identification cards that we do have. It is easy for you to be followed up. So don't think that you can do something here in our country, Uganda, and then you can just go into hiding. You can do something here in West Nile, you can easily be arrested wherever you might think of going. And don't think that you can do something from Kampala and it will be very hard for you to be traced. It becomes very easy if people know where you come from. Like for me, as Denis Oringi, I cannot do anything in this country called Uganda because it will be very easy for the people to look for me and get me arrested, because if they go online they will be able to find my details, and if they come to Western Television they can easily obtain my detail, and if they're able to go to my previous work places they will be able also to find my details. So it becomes very easy for the state apparatus to look for me, and also for those that I might wrong. And so that's why I try my level best to be a little bit very humble, not to commit a crime in this country, Uganda, because I will not be able to escape. Some of the ministers tried escaping, tried hiding themselves, so they found themselves handing themselves to police for further management right there. And so among them is the State Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Agnes Nadutu, who decided to hand herself over to the police at Chibuli yesterday. And so in Uganda you cannot hide. So if you want to hide, something will bring you out. And so this is something that you need to know, that a colleague who stabbed a friend to death in Lira at the college, he has been arrested, and this is according to the Superintendent of Police, Patrick Jimmy Okema, right there in North Yoga region. Thank you. Let's get to more story. Minister Kasaija has decided to return the evil Karamoja iron sheets back to the opium store yesterday. And so this is something that you need to know right there. And so what you need to know is that a representative for the minister returned the iron sheets to the office of the Prime Minister's store in Namave industrial area, but were less by 2. And so after returning the iron sheets, so they had to measure and also find out whether the iron sheets returned. The iron sheets that were given to him, whether they were the same specifications that were handed over to these ministers and some members of parliament and some chief administrative officers right there. And so unfortunately the iron sheets that were returned by Minister Matia Kasaija, who is the finance minister of our country, Uganda, were less by 2. And so what can we say about that? You were given the iron sheets, there were 300, and then you return less by 2. You are supposed to return with extra number, you know. Again, returning with less by 2, and then that is quite unfortunate then. So Minister Kasaija yesterday returned iron sheets that he had received from Karamoja Affairs Ministry under the office of the Prime Minister, that is OPM. Now a representative for the minister returned the iron sheets to the office of the Prime Minister's store in Namave industrial that is area. And while addressing journalists in Namave, you have to know that David Kayongo, who is the Senior Assistant Secretary for Finance and Administration at the OPM, who has been stationed at the OPM's Namave stores to oversee the process, said Kasaija returned the iron sheets but were less by 2. And so this is something that you need to know. Quoting him saying that he brought back 298 out of the 300 iron sheets. So he has promised to bring the balance, and that is according to Kayongo, who is the Senior Assistant Secretary for Finance and Administration at the Office of the Prime Minister right there. So Kasaija is the latest minister to return iron sheets. That after Speaker Annette Among returning has around 500 iron sheets right there. So the State Minister for Finance and Planning, Amos Lugolobi, and State Minister for Defense, Jacob Obotobot, these were some of the ministers who have said to have returned the iron sheets. But on top of returning, you have to know that you have charges that you are supposed to answer in regards to the Karamoja evil iron sheets that it has taken over the talk of the country right here in our country, Uganda. So the speaker's team returned 500 pieces, while Lugolobi and Obotobo returned 600 and 300 iron sheets, respectively, right there. So more ministers implicated in the saga are expected to follow President Museveni's directive issued in an April the 3rd letter stating that they refund the Mabati roofing items or the equivalent money in value. And so for those who will not return the iron sheets, you have to return, you have to pay money that is equivalent to the amount used for buying the iron sheets. And I have been told that these iron sheets are meant for the office of the Prime Minister. They are unique iron sheets, and each cost the office of the Prime Minister 71,000, unlike the ordinary iron sheets that we do buy in the markets. And so it's these iron sheets are very expensive, and so meaning that if each is 71,000 times 100, and so it means that one will be able to pay good millions of money in regards to these particular iron sheets right there. And so we request those who still have the iron sheets with them either return or you have to pay the money in return to the iron sheets that you were able to receive. And so I think this should really send signal to those who are planning, those who have been always, stealing from the public, and that this time around Museveni's government is very serious in fighting corruption, for your information. So don't think that the Wananchi are not empowered. The Wananchi are well empowered, and I still repeat that the road fund has been released to the 6.1 billion for maintenance of the roads in our country, Uganda, and these monies have been sent to 135 districts and the cities that we have in this country. And so we do not want to hear from any district that the money is very little and the money has not been used. And so I would really request the Wananchi in each and every district that we have in our country, Uganda, that you should always follow up on this money that has been released for the 4th quarter and from Uganda Road Fund for road maintenance. So be monitoring the district graders, whether the district graders for these remaining months for us to conclude the financial year 2020 to 2023, whether the district will be able to release their graders to go and grade or maintain the roads that we have in the district. If not, you have to report. We have the IGG offices in the West Nile here, and they can be able to hear your information. You can as well write straight to, that is the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, so that they can really take up the case, because we have monies being stolen and eaten by those who have been put in charge of this money. And so as Wananchi of this country, let us join our hands together to fight corruption. And corruption is real, and people are stealing during a broad daylight. And what can we do as Wananchi that this money is meant for us in as far as service delivery is concerned? So it is you and I to open our eyes, and we have to bring those who are charged with this money to account to us. They are supposed to account to us because they are our servants. Those that have been elected, they are our servants, and those that are in these positions, they are working for us. We are the one paying them through the taxes that we do pay to the government of the Republic of Uganda. And for that matter, we have right to demand. We have the right to demand for accountability. If a road is not being properly worked on, you have to challenge those who are working on the road that this is not how it's supposed to be. And if the road is in a dilapidated state, you have a right to demand for the road to be worked on. And so this is what I can tell you this morning, that we are equal in this country, only that some people are trying to put themselves up. But in actual sense, all of us, we are equal, because we are all human beings. And those who are in the offices, they are there for us, and we have the right to demand accountability from them. And so let us open our eyes on these monies that the central government is sending down to the sub-county level, to the district level. And we have to always ask the questions of accountability, whether the money is being properly used. And trust me, when all of us open our eyes, let me tell you, we shall not have shoddy work, and we shall not have those who will be eating our money continue to eat the money, when we are also saying we will not be able to see those who are known for putting bungalows and bungalows over bungalows, yet they are civil servants, it will be very easy for us to identify the bad ones in our society. There are people who have used government monies to make themselves rich. And there are those who have been trying their level best to struggle to get this money and make themselves who they are now. But there are those who have really eaten enough from this government. In as far as corruption is concerned, money meant for the people is not being given to the right people. Money meant for service delivery is being diverted for personal use. And this is the order of the day here in our country, Uganda. And it is me and you to stand firm and dig out, bring them out, expose them. If a person is a politician, then you wait for the cycle of election and you know what to do. You slash the person down. If a person is a civil servant, just report to the appointing authority for the person to be interdicted. It is quite unfortunate in our country, Uganda, if, for example, a chief administrative officer of Madiokolo, for instance, is corrupt, you find that he's picked from there, is brought to Arua City, is picked from Arua City, is taken to Nebe Municipality, is picked from Nebe Municipality, taken to another district. If we can really agree that whoever has been found corrupt, the person should be excommunicated from any dealing with government programs, then that will be the case. The person is put off from any, offices that we do have in our country, Uganda. So once Oringi Denis is corrupt, please put me off. Let me go home and dig. I should not be given any, a job to do. Let's get to another story right this morning. Let's get to Minister has asked the public to find lasting solutions for Karamoja. As we are talking about Karamoja iron sheets, the insecurity in Karamoja seems to be escalating each and every time. And the Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Hilary Onek, is asking members of the public what could be the lasting solutions for Karamoja insecurity. And this is one of the serious matter that we need to put our heads together as citizens of this country, and we forge ways forward on how we can really pacify and sanitize what we have in Karamoja. Currently, the raids have spread up to Lao area, and the leaders in Lao sub-region, they are now coming together to see how they can really forge a way forward, to see how they can really also fight back at the Karamojong who are raiding their cattle right there in the district of Ture, Leptong, and the district of Abim. These are some of the districts that are badly affected by the Karamoja insecurity. So the Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Dr. Hilary Onek, is saying that members of the public should really find lasting solutions for this insecurity. What you need to know is that the Karamoja sub-region has been in the spotlight for a while now over the iron sheet saga that has led to the arrest of 3 ministers so far. The Minister for Relief and Disaster Preparedness, that is and Refugees, for your information, Hilary Onek, has hanged his boots on finding lasting solutions to issues surrounding Karamoja and asked the public to advise on new approaches. What approaches should be adopted by government of the Republic of Uganda to work out on the solutions to insecurity in Karamoja and also the neighboring districts and areas that are really surrounding Karamoja in as far as cattle raiding is concerned. And Onek, while addressing the press conference at Uganda Media Center yesterday, he says that the government is overstressed by so many demanding priorities that the national budget cannot cater for, something he attributed to tax evasion by those who are supposed to pay taxes to this government and to this country. And so he added that the government's attempt to find lasting solutions to issues affecting Karamoja have been frustrated by tax evaders and corrupt government officials who steal the already collected taxes. It is good that the ministers that we have in this country have started realizing that we do have the corrupt officers who are found of corrupting, stealing the monies that have been collected collected from the wananchi, and it is good that they have started knowing that the country is losing trillions of money to the corrupt officers that have been employed by this government that we have in this country. And so UNEC expressed dislike in taking donations and aid, but said the mismanagement of taxes makes the aid and donations irresistible. And so if the taxes are not being properly managed, then the aids that are being given to our country will not miss to be stolen by those who are found of stealing what is meant for the wananchi, more especially the vulnerable community right there. So UNEC revealed that the government of Japan has committed the $7.9 million US dollars, approximately 29.5 billion, to support refugees and host communities, as well as Karamoja sub-region in various ways. And so 29.5 billion has been committed by the government of Japan to support the refugees and host communities, as well as Karamoja sub-region. And so he is worried that this money might also be stolen by those who are found of stealing what is meant for the Karamojongs and also the refugees and the host communities that we have in our country, Uganda. So 29.5 billion is not little amount of money. And remember, a government of the Republic of Uganda through Uganda Road Fund just on Monday was able to release that is 26.1 billion for road maintenance in our country. And this money has been sent to 135 districts and cities that we have in this country. So if government of Japan has committed 29.5 billion for refugees, host communities, and the Karamojongs, then you have to know that this money is not little amount of money. And we believe that those who will be in charge of this money, you will be able to use the money properly. With the fight of corruption that the wananchi, together with the President of the Republic of Uganda, they have started, I have to tell you that you will not just leave the hook like that. And if you do it in a shoddy way, you will be hooked up like a fish being hooked in River Nile. And so for you to be out of the hook, do the right thing and provide the right accountability, and so that you are safe from the hands of the DPP and also the police and the State House Anti-Corruption Unit and the IGG as well. And so do the right thing at the right time. Let's get more stories right here that Directorate of Public Prosecution, DPP, probes Vice President, 40 other implicated in Karamoja Iron Sheets scandal right there. And so two ministers, Goretti Merikitutu, the Minister for Karamoja, and Amos Lugolobi, the State Minister for Finance Planning, have been charged at the Anti-Corruption Court over corruption and for causing government loss after iron sheets meant to be relief materials for the people of Karamoja were diverted and shared among several members of parliament, ministers, and technocrats in government. And so the Director of Public Prosecutions has revealed that her office is probing over 40 different case files against top government officials and technocrats implicated in the iron sheet scandal. So as she addressed journalists after interfacing with the Parliamentary Committee on Finance, Jane Francis Adobo said the files are being subjected to thorough scrutiny in search of any evidence that can be used to prosecute the officials implicated in this scandal that has caused a public outcry and left government struggling to save face. Right there. And so among the top officials on the list that the DPP's office is looking into is the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, and other junior government officials like the Chief Administrative Officers and members of Parliament. And so more 40 files are being worked on for your information. This is according to the DPP that we have in this country that are charged with handling the criminal cases that are being registered in our country, Uganda. Let's get to another issues to do with the national IDs here. Police has warned members of the public not to take their national IDs as collateral, more especially for those who want to borrow money. It is a common practice right here in Arua City that the money lenders, the microfinance institutions or the money lenders, they tend to rely on the national IDs for the people who want to borrow money as collateral right there. But the police is saying do not take national IDs as collateral. And so don't give your ID in exchange of the money that you are picking from somebody. That is what the police is trying to tell us here. And they are warning us, more especially warning the money lenders who use the national identification cards of clients as collateral security. And so police said Ugandans whose cards were withheld by the money lenders cannot identify themselves or make certain transactions where a national ID is required. And this explains to you the reason why majority of the Ugandans now, they don't have their national IDs with them, simply because they have been given their IDs as a collateral security during the time that they are borrowing money from the money lenders. And so Fred Enanga is saying, you have to desist from that. More especially the money lenders. Never pick the ID meant for a citizen as collateral security for the money that the person is picking from you, because this person needs the identity card for other services in this country, Uganda. And this ties you up if you do not have your ID. We have people who have never got an opportunity to succeed from some of the government programs. We have some of the ex-servicemen. We have some of the veterans who are not benefiting from their pensions simply because they do not have a national ID with them. And so you remember when they are updating the files, they need you to photocopy your national ID, and it finds out that this musée is not having the national ID, and it makes it very hard for this particular musée to really update his or her file, because the ID is not with him, and for him to get the ID he has to pay the money that he borrowed from the money lender. And so this is one of the problems that our citizens are really facing, and this all comes back to poverty that is eating us up. So if we have been left in the hands of the money lenders, and then what do you expect? We have to pull out our national ID as collateral security for the money that we are picking from the money lenders. So Fred Enanga quoting him saying that, as you know, national IDs have no economic and monetary value and are supposed to be used exclusively for identification purposes. Therefore, any act of confiscation, removing, taking or handing over a national ID as security is illegal. And so if somebody is taking your ID or confiscating your ID, remember that person is committing a crime. It is illegal according to police. So he made the remarks based on reports of national IDs being used as collateral in Buwenge town and the district of Dokolo and Amolata, among others. And it's not only in Amolata or Dokolo or in Buwenge town council. Come to Arua City here. We have money lenders who have thousands of national IDs they picked from the borrowers who were able to hand over the national ID as collateral security for the money that they are picking from the money lenders. So I think you have heard that the national ID cannot be used as collateral security during the time that you are borrowing money. So you have to desist from that, including even the owner of the national ID or the owners of the national ID. Let us not hand over our national ID as collateral. And even the money lenders, let us not accept national ID as collateral when somebody is borrowing from you right there. So section 77 of the Registration of Persons Act, if you have time you can really open and read, of 2015, prescribes a fine not exceeding, that is 960,000 or 3-year jail term for individuals who breach the law. And so this is something that you need to know, that there is a law in our country, Uganda, that implicates somebody who picks somebody's ID as collateral, and it also implicates this person who is giving his national ID as collateral security right there. And so we have to desist from that, and that's what I can tell you this morning. All right, that is something that you need to know. Still, in regards to the national ID, you have to know that government may not be ready for new IDs. That's according to Attorney General warning the members of the public right there. And so Mr. Mwanga observed in his 2022 annual report that while government may not be ready for the new IDs. This is according to Auditor General, because the Auditor General of this country is Mr. Muwanga. He observed in his 2022 annual report that while the time left between now and 2024 is very short, the process to replace all identification cards has not yet kicked off. And this is what you need to know. By this time, we should be hearing, recruiting of persons who will be working during the time of the census, and also getting the national, working on the national ID for the citizens of this country. So the Auditor General, John Muwanga, has warned that Uganda may not switch smoothly to the new digital national identification cards because the responsible agencies does not appear to be ready to effect the transition. And so the new next generation identity cards, which are due in 2024, are supposed to be more robust and implemented with a microchip containing citizens' electronic and biometric information. Muwanga observed in his 2022 that is annual report that while the time left between now and 2024 is very short, the process to replace the old identification cards has not yet kicked off. So the National Identification and Registration Authority, that is NIRA, is the government agency responsible for the process. And so what is NIRA doing in regards to this? And so he also noted that at the time of writing this report in December 2022, the authority did not have a clear strategy and roadmap on how and when the new IDs will be rolled out. The cost involved as well. Sensitization arrangement for the public were also not clear, and other key activities such as signing of contracts for supply of the blank cards, procurement of equipment, and recruitment of staff to manage the exercise were not yet undertaken. So NIRA officers identification services policy, planning and support, and is charged with strengthening the country's capacity to generate statistical data. And yesterday officials denied that they are behind schedule. They said that they are not behind schedule, everything is going on well. Let me quote here from, that is Osborne Mushabe, who is the manager for public relations and corporate affairs at NIRA offices. He said that we are still within time. We have already embarked on preparations and we are in advanced stages. We are set to start in August, and so it is not yet late. And so this is what Mr. Osborne Mushabe, who is the manager for public relations and corporate affairs at the NIRA office, is saying, that they will be able to start in August. And so we are waiting whether by August the process of registration of persons for the national identification card will be able to start. And this is something that I can bring to your attention here this morning. So the government through NIRA began issuing national IDs in 2014. For your information, for those who might have forgotten, the first batch of those IDs expires in 2024, because just like a passport, the card is valid for only 10 years. And so from 2014 up to 2024, that will mark 10 years. And that means that the current national identity cards that we do have will not be valid. And so it will expire. And we have to get new national identity cards like that. So the line Minister for Internal Affairs, General Kahinda Otafire, when contacted on Sunday, briefly said that I can't comment because I haven't seen the report yet. And so this is what the Minister of Internal Affairs is responding in regards to the preparation of NIRA in regards to working on the national IDs for the citizens of this country. And so going forward, Muwanga advised NIRA to develop a comprehensive roadmap and strategy to guide the planning and execution of this particular activity. And so you have to know that in May last year, General David Mohozi, the junior internal affairs minister, while appearing before the parliament, and the government said the government will require all persons, both renewal and first-time applicants, to, among others, provide their DNA details in order to acquire new IDs. And quoting him, saying that expected outcomes of the exercise shall include substitution of the national ID cards upon expiry and their upgrading to a smart card, electronic ID, and creation of personal digital identity. And so this is what the General Muhozi David, who is the junior internal minister, said while appearing before the parliament of the Republic of Uganda. Let's get to our last story this morning, that Uganda to get 1 million doses of malaria jabs is something that you need to know right there. And so for those who will be persons who should really benefit from these 1 million doses of malaria jab, you have to get ready. Speaking in an interview in Kampala yesterday, you have to know that Catherine Maiteki, who is doctor, by the way, the deputy manager for the malaria control program at the ministry, said 1 million doses will be funded by Gavi for the country's first round of malaria vaccination. And so the vaccine is codename RTS S. So the Ministry of Health has said their request for malaria vaccines has been approved by the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, Gavi, ahead of the planned rollout next year. So the taking of the jabs for malaria will be next year, and Uganda is expecting 1 million doses of malaria jabs, right there. And so speaking in an interview in Kampala, so Dr. Catherine, that is Maiteki, the deputy manager for the malaria control program, and the ministry said 1 million doses will be funded by Gavi, and this is something that we need to know right there. So you have to know that malaria kills 16 Ugandans daily and causes an estimated annual economic loss of that is 1.76 trillion Ugandan shillings due to treatment costs and work time lost. Now, according to the data from the Health Ministry and research reports, 16 Ugandans die daily as a result of malaria, and around $500 million US, which is estimated to be 1.76 trillion Ugandan shillings, is lost to malaria treatment and also work time being lost right there. So Dr. Patrick Tusime, who is the Commissioner for Communicable Disease Control and Prevention at the Ministry, said at a meeting in Kampala that the vaccine will be one of the effective methods for treating malaria and also taming poverty caused by malaria in our country, Uganda. So Dr. Tusime said on average, Ugandan spends that is around 30,000 per malaria episode, and many people experience one or more episodes annually. And so if you are to calculate this, you will find out that one will be able to spend a lot of money for treating malaria. So Dr. Maiteki said yesterday that in the planned malaria vaccination 2024, they will prioritize districts with high burdens and those with high numbers of children dying from malaria. The deputy program manager appealed to the public to embrace the vaccine, saying it will work alongside other preventive methods such as sleeping under treated mosquito bed nets right there. And so let us all join our hands together to embrace these 1 million doses of malaria jabs that will be rolled out next year 2024, and for the countries for the districts that are hit hard by malaria cases, you should be the one to start benefiting from this. I do not know some of the districts that we have in West Nile, but for your information, the districts that are located along the belt of rivers and lakes seems to be hit hard by malaria cases, and so I believe that they will be the first districts to benefit from these 1 million doses of malaria jabs that will be rolled out next year by Minister of Health here. And you have to know that it is money, it is a donation from Gavi, and Gavi has been supporting our country Uganda, much as there were issues to do with Gavi fund some years back, and we also urge that if they will be able to send it in the form of money, then the money should be properly used for the procurement of these 1 million doses of malaria jabs to help those that have been affected by malaria. Together we can fight malaria if we follow what Minister of Health always tell us to follow in regards to fighting malaria in our country, Uganda. My name is Denis. Allow me to thank you very much. 1 minute to the top of the hour of 9 a.m. right here on Western Television. We do appreciate you, and we say have the best of your morning. And for those who have been catching us live on a different social media platform, our YouTube page, we thank you very much. I know I was a Fredox, you're always attuned. PV right in Kampala, thank you very much for always following us. And also those that always following us on their screen from their homes. We thank you very much for choosing Western Television this morning, and wherever you are catching the show live from, thank you very much. More programs will be following soon, and you will be able to catch up with everything that you need to know right here on Western Television. Thank you very much. May the good Lord be with you and continue to bless you. Well, for those who are suffering in this world, we also pray for you that one day you will be out of that suffering. God will also lift you and bless you, and will also think about you. Do not give up. Life is just like that. You have also to face challenges, and you have also to enjoy when it lands on your side. For those that they have landed on the good side of life, think about those who are not yet on the good side of life, that they should also one time enjoy like you're enjoying. Good morning.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.